She has been known to be helpful to those who are pure of heart.
I'm thinking, instead of coming up with an introduction, we just launch right into it.
Could we do a cold open where we're just talking about something? Could we all act like someone just told a really funny joke?
Or you realise I've hit record?
Or just have a very meta opening in which we're discussing how to open the episode.
We've gone in too deep.
Yeah, we'll keep it like this. So, John Wick, eh?
And her story.
Yeah, but come on. You know who we are. Right. It's the Mediate podcast. I'm Harry Cottle, and I'm joined by the man with the headphones yet again. He seems to be hogging them quite a lot. Jonathan
They
Mills.
are my headphones, you know. It's not that I'm taking them away from you. You can bring your own headphones, you know.
I will next time. Just you wait. And a man of focus, commitment, and sheer will. It's Tony Wilson.
Hello.
That's a nice jacket, Tony.
Thanks.
Alright, I think me and Tony might have some patching up to do after last month's episode.
I want to say that I think I managed to bury my sort of lust for revenge when it comes to Harry's opinions. But who knows, maybe watching John Wick has taught me that I should bring those feelings to the forefront. But we'll talk about that more in a bit.
Well, hopefully we'll talk more about John Wick than your angered feelings towards me. But first, a question. I mean, this episode is 2015, so my question for you guys is that if the magical mystery wheel had selected you, what would your game and film be, and why? Jonathan Knowles.
Ooh, well, I didn't see many films at all in this year. I saw The Force Awakens.
That's the debatable quality of that film.
Yeah, well, I liked it. You know, I enjoyed it at the time. I think I still would enjoy it if I watched it again. But that didn't feel like one I could pick. Then I think I watched 2 other films, but they didn't leave a mark on me. So I would have gone for Mad Max Fury Road, not because I've seen it and like it, but because of the films I didn't see that year. That was the one I most feel I lost out on.
It's actually been re-released in cinemas at the moment, in black and white.
Yeah.
So
They're doing that with Logan soon, right?
I can't see Logan working in black and white. But anyway, we're getting off topic here. And what would your game be then? Surely you played some games.
Yeah, well, that was difficult because my initial searches of games released that year sort of came up with again nothing really that I felt I could pick until I literally went down a massive list on Wikipedia and then found right near the bottom Elite Dangerous, which was released on PC, not technically yet on Xbox One, which is what I have it on, but I would have picked that one just because. From my point, I think it's the best game in space. It's the best at sort of showing you flying around in a spaceship. It is kind of dull and boring, but it works and actually gives you a feeling of being there, which I think it needs I think it needs recognition for that. It does what a lot of games couldn't do. Nice work, Andromeda. And makes the boring parts in space actually workable.
Well, the Elite series is sort of famous for being boring space simulators, which are incredibly
Euro Truck
realistic.
Simulator in space.
How was that a bad thing?
I
Alright,
said it was.
Tony, what game and film would it be?
I think when it comes to films, there's definitely some competition. It was a good year, I'd have to say. There was it would come down to a choice between either Mission Impossible Rogue Nation or Terminator Genesis, I feel, just because I wanted to disappoint Harry. No, honestly, they're not incredible films, but I feel like they're good contrast to pick to what Harry would have chosen with John Wick, even though that's totally a a cheap 2015 film, but when it comes to game, obviously Undertale, a game that preaches message of like compassion and like mercy. Again, totally not fitting with the theme, but yeah, those are the two that I've picked.
If we're going to go behind the scenes a little bit, I can see that in your drafted answer you've written The Martian, which is just like, I think The Martian's a very good film. I don't think, did it come out in 2015?
Well,
I definitely think the UK release was 2016. I'm not too sure about that.
Martian was good, great comedy.
Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation's enjoyable. Terminator Genesis, I refuse to see any Terminator film after the first two.
He kicks down.
I just refuse to watch them end of.
Oh, the first two are great though. The first two are absolute classics. Alright, how long are we going to ramble on about things that you would have picked?
So
we're going to my pick, the real picks.
Harry, you can take the lead.
Just gonna butt in with some information. The Martian was released September 2015 in the United Kingdom.
Ooh,
so
that feels more recent than that.
Yeah, it was. The DVD release was early January 2016 in USA. So most of the stuff clearly was done by the end of 2015.
When did Interstellar release?
Interstellar was 2012 or 13. No, 2014. I'm just saying years now. This is not.
Get it eventually.
This is not captivating listening at all.
November 2014.
Yeah, I felt like they were around
Man,
the same
Google
time.
stuff. It's a new feature. Alright, just quickly, if I had to pick another game, it would have been Metal Gear Solid 5. If you guys had like 100 hours just spare in this month.
If I had 100 hours to play on games, I might have understood the plot of our story.
And films, Black Mass is a film that no one saw, that you should, because Johnny Depp's great in it, even though he's a dick. And Whiplash is one of the best films ever, which I probably should have picked, but it's just not as enjoyable as John Wick. And even though John Wick is a 2014 film, I'm sure we'll get onto that. Now it's time for a new section. Johnny's TV, radio, podcast, anything he wants, round up.
The other media, the other things you should go out and watch.
Or listen to.
Misk Man.
Yes. So I'll start off by mentioning The Last Kingdom, which is it's the BBC's answer to Game of Thrones, basically, and in my opinion, it's better than Game of Thrones.
There's a fighting
hot takes.
It's a big thing to say, but my reasoning is pretty much that with Game of Thrones, it's very much fantasy. When you've got a battle, it's between a million Dothraki and like this flying dragon, and then it's kind of personal, but it's not really any of the fighting unless it's a one-on-one fight. Whereas with The Last Kingdom, everything is just a sort of emotional fight. There was one in a recent episode where it was literally on both sides, because there were only like 50 men fighting each other with shields and swords. You just had them sort of facing off from the two sides of the battlefield, sort of shouting at each other, and as much, I don't know, I just think it does it a lot better and captivates me more. But it's
it's a good point that sort of having lower stakes can sometimes be far more captivating and grounded. I've got a point about John Wick and John Wick 2 to make on similar lines, but sorry, I just.
Yeah. So it follows one character, Uhtred, mostly. It's sort of a few of his friends and things, and sort of his type. It's based back in history, back with the sort of Viking invasion and Saxon times, Danes and Saxons, and again, it's good because of that focus on one character, rather than with things like Game of Thrones, where you're like, you've just shown me that Tyrion is still kicking around in whatever city he is now. That you didn't need to show me that, really. I've learnt nothing. Whereas you feel like everything is needed in The Last Kingdom that's there. Anyway, I think more people should watch it, because I only know 2 people who have seen it. One of them is my brother, and it's only because of him that I know about it, and the other one is someone that I kept on pushing until I actually sat them down into a room and got them to watch it with me. Finally got them interested. So that's why I feel it needs mentioning.
It's not got dragons though. People love dragons.
It's not got dragons, but it's more real because of that,
I should hope so.
And it means that they can actually spend their money on interesting fight scenes rather than here is some CGI fire being chucked at this guy. It's anyway.
Mr. Nearest petting a green sock puppet.
To be fair, from the very few sort of episodes, seconds of footage from Game of Thrones I've seen the battles are quite realistic. Like the one I couldn't tell you what it was, but Jon Snow is his name. He's standing in a field, and all those all those horses are coming at him. I was like, that looks good. That's real. He did that.
Yeah, so there are good battles in Game of Thrones, but
Game of Thrones podcast.
It's, I don't know. They're a lot more far between. It's sort of, it is my feeling watching it. You sort of watch a lot to build up to those moments. And yes, it is good, but yes, it's nice seeing a whole field full of soldiers, and everything is chucking there, and everybody is dying. But there's a sort of point where it's like you're watching what feels like the 500th person dying, and like I'm not really feeling this. Really, what does that guy's death mean now? He is one of he's like one of a million. Yeah,
it's the Star Wars Clone Wars thing of just having two disposable CGI armies you just don't care about.
Yeah. Whereas with Last Kingdom, in a recent fight, because Uhtred only had like a squad of 50 or 100 people, every time I saw a person being shot with an arrow, I knew that was that much less of a person to fight for him.
It's like the Lord of the Rings thing of like making one side completely disposable and like the other side just like 6 dudes. It's like one of them goes, that hurts. Alright, what else came out in 2015 then? Run us through.
The other thing is one of the funniest podcasts
Mediate didn't come out in 2015.
Until Mediate, the funniest until Mediate, and
Can't
it's
even, sarcastically join in on that.
And it's My Dad Wrote a Porno, and it's 3 people. One of them is reading out some erotic literature that his dad wrote, and it is the most hilarious, incorrect, just phrases that should never exist in this world, that mean that whenever you guys are just talking, you'll be talking about anything, and then you'll just say a phrase from it, just completely unaware, and then I'll just burst out laughing and have to explain to you that. It's hilarious. It's the closest I think a podcast has come to changing my life.
Apart from this one.
Yes.
Although technically we are sort of everywhere, travelling through time, so we existed in 2015. As we go back every month.
I mean, what happens when we get to 1998? I realise we're dating ourselves here, but
well, for me and Harry, just have to go back to 1999.
I think what will happen is maybe our magical time machine will break. Maybe get trapped in a time vortex of just mismatching things from different years. Maybe we'll go forward in time. Who knows?
I have a feeling
wibbly wobbly timey-wimey.
I have a feeling our budget will run out before then.
Okay. So I think it's about time we moved on to John Wick. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Shall I start us off?
Of course. Lead the way.
Okay. I'll do my formal introduction to John Wick, which was released in 2014, but we are magical time travellers from the UK, which the film was released in 2015, so it's allowed. Shut up. Okay, it was directed by 2 people whose names I'm going to completely butcher, David Litch and Chad Sletitsky, who I hope is Russian because there's a lot of Russian dialogue in this film, and it's a very good action thriller, action drama, action romance.
Action?
Just action, to be honest. It's John Wick. And first of all, it just has to say the runtime is 100 minutes. Cut out 10 minutes. It's the perfect runtime for a feature-length film. I mean, any film...
If you remove a certain section of it, it's a good runtime.
Yeah, but 100... If it's closer to an hour and a half, 2 hours, then for me, it's, I like it.
Snow Batman versus Superman.
What a great film that is. Okay, so it had a $30 million budget and it made $90 million from that, just in the box office. I don't know if that's worldwide or anything, but that's pretty decent, I was thinking.
Well,
the sequel is completely blown out to shit because people love sequels. And they'll go and see the sequel without seeing the first one. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, I type in watch John Wick online, just go, John Wick 2? It's like, What?
Of course, John watched it online after purchasing a DVD copy of John Wick, because we do not condone illegally downloading or watching
Just
anything.
to point out the sequel comment you made, I feel like people really need to watch the first one to get that emotional investment to the story of John Wick.
Of course, the story of John Wick is one of tragedy, we could say. Within the first 15 minutes, you've seen his dog be killed by this little shit. And it's a revenge thriller, and you're thinking, I just want John to kill this dude. That's basically it.
I began to feel slightly sorry for Alfie Allen, but that's possibly just because I quite like Alfie Allen. You know, I've seen him.
He was
be
only
abused.
cast because he looks like he just is a bit of a shit. That's the only word you can use to describe him. He looks like Harry Styles as well. Anyway, I really like John Wick. I'd only seen it twice. I saw it in the cinema. The story about why I like it, I always thought this was the reason I liked this film so much, was because it was one of those films that I went in, I knew nothing about it. I knew it was called John Wick and Keanu Reeves, and I was like, that's good enough for me. And I went in to see it. I think I was on a great day, and I was just like, this is incredible. This is what I've wanted from action movies for ages. I just want the stripped down plot, and just really, really satisfying sort of OCD levels of genocide.
OCD level genocide.
Okay, there is something about the way he kills people. It's just like...
It's definitely, with the music, it's definitely incredibly cathartic in the sense that it's just so, like, almost it fits, you know, with the rhythm of the song and everything. It just works.
There's a point someone else made, so it's not completely original, but when you watch The Terminator, you get annoyed that Arnold is missing shots, because you're like, he's a killing machine. John Wick doesn't really miss. He misses just enough and messes up just enough, so you think he's been out of the game for 6 years, but this guy was just a complete machine.
He does miss a few plot armor shots, though, but, you know.
He does get a shot as well. I like that. I like the sort of the weight to the film.
Gets booked off a balcony. It just,
he does.
Like, it's fine.
I mean, he doesn't like land on his head or anything, so that's
No,
believable.
he just lands on his back that can like paralyze people for life. You know, nothing too.
He was wearing a bulletproof suit. I will give the show that credit of thinking through its plot, strength, and...
If I was just to quickly review John Wick, I'd say it's fantastic.
It's great.
I mean, it masters its tone. It understands what it is. I think a lot of critics said it's fantastic. It's so good because it never tries to be anything it's not. It knows it's sort of a dumb action movie, but it has hints of a sort of a depth to it and a mysterious underworld, which the directors never really thought about, other than let's create this mysterious underworld and ask questions that we don't know the answer to, which is why the sequel struggles a little bit. But like just little things like the coin, the sound design, the music, the font is fantastic. I mean, like there's a lot of Russian dialogue, and I wish the whole film was in Russian because the font is so satisfying. It's one that I watch every film subtitles, but you cannot watch John Wick with subtitles because it just ruins it appearing on screen. It's great. I'm a bit of a nerd for fonts. But yeah, it's really good. It's got a pretty... I didn't remember the opening being too good when I saw it in the cinema, because I sort of... you don't know what you were going in for, and you're thinking, what is this? Why is he walking around with his dog all this time, even if it's a cute dog? Watching it knowing what's coming, the first 3 minutes are actually exceptional. There's no dialogue apart from the video clip. It has the Arrival and Up style tragedy, doesn't it?
It does.
But it doesn't just give the audience a flat line. You don't need any dialogue. It's very well done, and it's beautifully shot. And the opening and the action sequences are obviously well done. I don't need to say more than that. I'll hand it over to you guys because I have seen this film.
I definitely feel that the opening, and by opening I mean like the first solid, like I want to say like 20-30 minutes up until the first fight scene, that is just building that emotional connection to the character of John Wick in a way that you could say an action movie doesn't need. But the fact that you get invested in that sort of rage, like revenge sort of story, really, I think it adds a lot to the film. I feel like that like I said originally, don't steal my patter, Harry, the up style intro of the fact that it builds that sort of emotional connection, you know, at the very beginning. It really makes the film a lot better. I feel like I think calling it, even going as far as to say is calling it a dumb action movie, is almost a disservice in effect to the way that it has thought through a lot of the things that a dumb action movie wouldn't, in the sense of its world building and its sort of characters in that way. But yeah, I would say I'd really like it. It's great. I want to see how the sequel takes what the first one built off of. I really want the third one to be a rom-com, so because I feel that there's only so much you can do with action, and I feel just like setting up this sort of revenge into eventually John finding peace with himself would really complete the trilogy if they were to go in that direction. But that's just me spitballing ideas. Jono, what do you think?
He should have just retired and stayed retired.
But that's not who he is.
They killed his dog and stole his car. Did he ever get the car back?
That is how the second film opens.
It was just like get a new car.
I don't.
A new dog,
get
though,
it.
Jono.
I don't want to
Well,
spoil
you
it
can.
because the whole killing dog stealing car thing that's why it's sort of dumb, but it's not. Also, because I remember laughing at the scene where he's trying to justify why he's doing it. It's like the dog meant so much more to me. It was this, it was symbol. And Keanu actually does some acting, and Keanu can't act, so
He's
he
great.
sort of breaks immersion a little bit.
He's mad.
But I quite like the dog. This cute little dog, it represents a symbol of hope after his wife's died, and he wants the car back because the car. This is covered in the first 10 minutes of the second film. I'm just saying, has an envelope with a letter from his wife in. So it's just sentimental.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the letters. It might be the letter she leaves with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about that. How did she do the dog sending?
That was what I was
You
wondering.
can probably,
It's like, how
like,
do you?
Dogs After Death, a service, right? You can probably pay for it. It's some like a new age. They can probably fund it on Kickstarter.
It's like
right
I had a
now.
problem with Sherlock season 4 of a character sending stuff after they're dead. So they obviously had people that like, if I don't reply to this within a week, you have to send this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just ridiculous. That's why Sherlock annoyed me, because this woman sends 4 videos from beyond the grave. I'm like,
And what's even worse is just that they keep on going to that. This is like she seems to have predicted all this stuff that's happened and that you need to have.
she knew John would just like that. Also, this is a very important note I made. He's a terrible dog owner. Okay, so Keanu gets the dog, and he goes to bed. He opens the door. The dog runs out. He's like, "What are you doing?" The dog does a shit, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." He didn't fed the dog. He doesn't have any dog
To be
food.
fair.
He just gives it some cereal, which is not healthy. And then he gets in his car.
He's not got any.
It was a
How can I-
surprise dog, you know.
But
he
I know
didn't
what
see
you're
the
gonna
dog
say
coming.
next though about him driving around
Yes.
fast with the car.
Yeah.
That counts as a goof on the IMDb page saying that dog would have died.
He goes to a runway, like with the dog in the passenger seat, and just does like loads of
The
fucking
dog's in the car for that
donuts and stuff.
that driving montage in the beginning.
Yeah.
What? I forgot about
They never
that.
established the fact that the dog is out of the car. So, who knows?
Can you imagine being that dog?
Anyway, Jono, what's your review of Jean Wick?
It's good for what it is. Yeah. I don't think I quite felt some of the action scenes as much as you two did with the music. I didn't find it as satisfying. I think I probably could think of things that I'd find more satisfying, but it didn't quite do what I wanted with the action scenes.
The action scenes are so good. There's
They are
there's no
incredible.
stakes to them, and that's why they're so good. I mean, I think we eventually will get to the discussion about the best scene in the film, which is the nightclub scene, because it just is the best scene in the film.
It's incredible.
It's the one that people still talk about to this day, and it's one that the entirety of John Wick 2 can never quite reach the heights of.
I didn't feel that scene though. It's just it didn't seem like he was shooting to the music to me, and
He shoots the music when he goes into the second level, and then he does it slightly at the third level. It's very briefly. It just starts the bass dropping, I guess, in the song, which is it's cool. It's a cool little thing.
It's actually something we noticed when listening back over the main theme during editing this podcast to get like the sound file. We noticed that the song lacks something without sort of the bullet shots to like punctuate it. I feel like it really works, you know, in that sense of rhythm and that all sort of good action scenes should have.
And also, I like how it waits before showing you the action scene. It's done quite well. It waits about 25, 26 minutes before the bit where they come to his house.
Yeah, I think it's good that you sort of are set up for that bit, and you get to quite like the house and feel kind of bad that it's like, oh, it's being messed up, this house now.
It's a really nice house.
So you waited the sequel.
Oh, no. Fuck.
But anyway, in the sequel's ridiculous because one of the reasons it's sort of the stakes are so low is it's just like one guy, his dog's been killed, he's trying to kill one guy, and his dad's getting in the way. The stakes never feel massive, whereas John Wick 2 is sort of like the whole world is out to get John Wick, and his house is destroyed, and he's had his license. It's a bit ridiculous. Whereas this is more like he's just doing his job.
Yeah,
he's working again.
John Wick, though, it's sort of it's the way it sets up the premise is that he's got nothing left to lose, which I quite like. You know, it's just sort of he's all out. You know, he's got no weaknesses.
I mean, they don't really. He doesn't really speak much in the first 20 minutes, and then he's established through that scene in which Tarasov talks to his son. What's Tarasov's first name? Vigo. Vigo Tarasov talks to his son, which begins with I.
Iosif.
The scene where he tells him about John Wick, and it's intercut with John Wick getting his gun and his money out of his basement, I guess.
That is a great scene.
Yeah,
he's like destroying the concrete floor. I want to point out something that Vigo, he does this incredible face every time he realises that, oh fuck, my son's about to die, when he's getting the calls from John Wick. He just has this look of shock and almost resignation, you know. He knows what John Wick's capable of.
The actor to play Vigo, he sort of, if he just plays Russian baddies, I mean, I'd probably know from sign. But he's actually fantastic, and the cast is. I mean, the actor that plays Winston's very good, and of course, Willem Dafoe is Willem Dafoe. I think his character's called Marcus, but I'm just going to call him Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, his character is Marcus.
But Willem Dafoe is the best Marvel villain of all time. And he's so good in this. He's one of those actors that, he's a screen presence, isn't he?
Ooh, he's in the Grand Budapest Hotel.
We'll get on to that later.
Or will we? Who knows?
Who
How
knows?
the wheel of fate will turn. Foreshadowing.
So yeah, has anyone got any trivia or facts to talk about John Wick?
So speaking of Michael Nyqvist, Vigo Tarasov, I imagine he enjoyed the experience, but there was one bit where he, according to the trivia on IMDb,
give away our sources. Wikipedia.
My sources. His entire head was cut open during the shooting of one scene, which left his ear resting on his right shoulder. This resulted in 80 stitches. Some of the last scenes had to be redone to hide his scar.
Wow.
I mean, just how much do you have to cut down there? Just the idea of the ear just flopping onto your shoulder. It's
it shows that he's done his own stunts, though. That's fair enough.
Yeah. According to Keanu Reeves, he did 90% of the stunts in this film. Of his own stunts, not just other people's.
Have you guys seen the video of Keanu Reeves training for John Wick 2?
I've seen that. I've seen the gif of him with
the
assault rifle.
A machine. That man is just
I really like the idea of him being the extra characters. If you look hard enough, they're all secretly Keanu Reeves.
Job.
Speaking of stunts, director Chad Stahelski,
one of the two,
Stahelski, was Keanu Reeves' stunt double in the Matrix movies.
That's really cool.
Yeah, just
there's a tiny little story about her story like that, about them working together before and a really minor role and casting them. But it's not that interesting, to be honest. So, any criticisms of John Wick?
Oh, can I just say my favourite piece of trivia? I know I've been saying a lot, but there's a whole massive page on it. But my favourite one is in the first meeting between John Wick and Iosif. John Wick says 69, which is talking about his Ford Mustang, not the sex act.
Not the 70.
Now, according to IMDb, he killed 77 people in the whole film.
76. I have.
IMDb says 77. John Wick says, Keanu Reeves says something like 80 something, but presumably some shots got cut.
Yeah.
But if we count backwards from that number, it means that Iosif was the 69th person he killed in this movie.
That is cool.
Which...
Right, just quickly, how many of the people do you think he killed twice? In terms of... they even get 76 or 7 actors. He must have killed a lot of them
That's
twice.
another thing. You can see that for the scenes they filmed first, they have longer hair, and as they get back, they get shorter hair because it was being cut until you get a scene just full of bald people, because that's how they got all the stunts.
That's
incredible.
That's such a good way to reuse extras.
And he literally did kill red shirts. Because they all seem to be wearing a red shirt or red tie. Which the director admitted is a Star Trek reference, which is very cool. Whereas the criticisms of John Wick, go ahead. Because it's not a perfect movie. No movie.
Well, I think one thing I want to point out is the fact that earlier on he does say, "I just want to talk," in reference to Iosif. And I know that I don't want to know. I want to see what you will think about that, or whether he was just like straight up lying, just like trying to get him to kill him, or if he was actually like eventually just he got more angry as the film progressed.
No, I think he just wanted to kill him.
Yeah, I know. So what do you think of the sort of, I guess you could call it the climax, in the sense that it is the resolution of the central just a revenge plot line?
And it's not very good.
I like
got,
it though.
At 1 hour 13 minutes, the film pretty much could end. I think I get why they had to sort of conclude it, because he did blow up Vigo's is his name Vigo? Yeah, Vigo. Yeah. He blew up his entire empire pretty much because his son killed a Stark. And they had to sort of, couldn't they just do what they did with the son and just have him shoot Vigo? Do they have to have it? Do they have to make it end with a car chase, an action scene? This isn't Halo 3. It can't just end with a vehicle section.
I like the British sort of hand to Vigo. The guy who sort of stands around there and is at the sort of final scene.
He has a great death.
Yeah, he's there asking for a gun and then has to step out, and I'm going, no, I think that's the character I care most about.
There are some great, like, I completely forgotten about the church scene, which is quite interesting. Although I don't really like the bit that follows the church scene. I think he gets saved by Marcus a few too many times for my liking, of this incredible assassin. Although I like the bit where Marcus shoots beside his pillow to wake him up. That is quite cool.
Yeah, that's a good moment, because you're sort of going, what's going on here? Why is he?
And a lot of the character
to kill him?
The character interactions are quite good in this world. Like, everyone's on first name terms. I like the police force, like, you're working again. The cleaning service cleaning never looked so cool. The last film that made cleaning look that cool was Pulp Fiction. Just cleaning up blood and stuff. It's great. But the underworld, obviously. Winston, who's in the film for like 3 minutes, gets about an hour screen time in John Wick 2. That's a character that definitely gets developed. As the owner of this hotel, which I had the name of, but I cannot find for the life of the Continental. That's the one. And of course, Charon, the guy who is the receptionist, who is just incredible in his like 2 minutes of screen.
Great. I quite like the idea of Continental in the fact that it's just like this sort of safe zone that, in terms of world building, it makes sense to have that sort of neutral area, but also in terms of the film's pacing, it's nice to have those moments where it's like, oh, this is a bit of a calmer bit, you know.
As two people who haven't seen the sequel, what would you want to see in a John Wick Chapter 2? Or what do you think? What would you be expecting from the film? Where would you see it going?
Well, in terms of expectations, just sort of law of like, I don't know what the name is. The fact that like things grow over time is that it will just have like more budget, therefore bigger explosions.
Yeah, definitely.
More people get
over 100 this time.
Wow, boom!
I'd like to see his friendship with Marcus. Sort of see how that.
Marcus dies though.
Like in
back in time.
Yeah, backstories.
It'll be a prequel. I know it's crazy, but it might just work.
I think eventually they will do a Night at the Impossible Task film. They do expand upon that. I like the throwaway lines, like the original Star Wars has a lot of throwaway lines which get expanded upon. I like the throwaway lines about like the Night of the Impossible Task and stuff like that, which they expand too much on in the sequel. Like the sequel is a man, there's a thing called Blood Oath, which means like you owe them a debt. He does one with like this crazy guy to pass that impossible task, and the guy calls it back in the sequel, so we've got to go to Rome. You get to see a bit of Rome. It takes about an hour to get there. Sequel's like 2.5 hours, by the way. It's fucking ridiculous. But just as a standalone piece of cinema, piece of action cinema, it's great. It is. It's a great standalone film. It's good world, good cast. It's just I enjoy it a lot. I think John Wick is a film that more people should see.
It's great.
What would you give it out of 10? That's the question. Also, did I score your name on last month's
I
podcast?
don't think you did.
If I didn't, I 8 out of 10. Just get that out of the way. Right, so John Wick. Jonathan Knowles. John Wick Knowles.
Oh yeah, this is another moment where I can identify with the main character. Called John, long hair. It's I'm gonna see how long I can
Did your
keep
dog
this
get
running.
killed?
I'm gonna
It's
purposely.
fucking dark.
Are you Baba Yaga?
That's ridiculous. Anyway, so with rating it, I'm hovering around a 7 and a 6.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm 7 or 8 because I jokingly called John Wick the best 7 out of 10 film ever made, but it's got a more of a depth to it.
I know.
But I think I'm gonna keep the best 7 out of 10 joke ever. I'm gonna keep the joke going. 7 out of 10.
Jono, are you settling on a 6.5 there?
I don't want to go into decimals.
We do not do decimals.
65%.
I
many stars
think I'll
is
go
that?
down to 6. I think for me the first half of it, I think I would give it an 8.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a 7, and then I sort of by the time I reach the end, I think actually my enjoyment has slightly swooped downwards, but so I think I'll go for a 6.
And you don't like the action scenes, which if you cut,
I mean,
It's
I
your film.
like them. I like them, but I'm not feeling the same feelings that you two seem to have about them. So
it's the second best sort of set of action sequences in the film. The first of that year, anyway. The first being Kingsman, which has the best church massacre you've ever seen, which I'll quickly.
I think I feel the sort of the fighting scenes in Kingsman a lot more, but then I've not seen it in a while, so I can't entirely remember. But
Well, you have to watch it in building up to the sequel, which of course is out and is very good, even though it's not. Shut up. I mean, we can travel through time. They might be listening to this 4 years in the future. Anyway, Kingsman 4 might be out. Might have Jared Leto in it. Who knows? Tony, your rating.
I would have to say that just because it chooses what it wants to be.
That's what it is. That's the classic John Wick review line.
I think it goes for that, chooses what it wants to be, and it does it very well and more, delivering a good amount of emotional depth and world building in what could have just been a great action movie, but actually achieves far more than that. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
You're giving it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
That is 3 out of 3 for Tony Wilson 10 out of 10. Incredible. Right.
I'm not sure if it will stay quite so high.
Yeah, I don't think the next thing on our list will be a 10 out of 10. It came out in 2015, written and directed by Sam Barlow. It was released on the 24th of June for PC and mobile. It runs on the Unity engine, which I think is just a crucial piece of information the audience need. It's her story. Whose story? Ask Tony Wilson, he'll have no idea. Okay, so the game essentially consists of typing words into a search engine, a police database, which is based off of Windows 98, clearly. And, I mean, it is. It just looks like Windows 98, doesn't it? It was BAFTA winning. It's got 88 on Metacritic. It's critically acclaimed. It's one of my favourite games of that year, just because it came out of absolutely nowhere. And I think it's rather worth talking about, just due to the nature and the mystery of the game. So, I could do a review if you want, or we could... I don't know, do you want to do spoiler free, or should we just get right into it?
I think a spoiler free summary would be good just to start off, but it's definitely a game that centres around sort of understanding the plot, and if it sounds like the thing you're interested in and you haven't played it, audience members, then I'd suggest go and checking it out.
It doesn't take that long, and it's
For some people.
It's fairly cheap. Yeah, it's the sort of game where I didn't know much about it. I picked it up and I was captivated for about 3 or 4 hours when I brought it. I just couldn't put it down. I wasted a whole evening just playing it, and it has a moment, like a revelation or multiple revelations, where it just blew my mind. And it's sort of the plot twist where you have to look at everything in a different way, in the way the Fight Club does. Even though Fight Club doesn't work the second time around, you have to rewatch rewatch the clips that you've watched, and you see them in a different context. And it's really clever. There's a lot of ambiguity to it, and a lot of the discussions online are quite interesting about it. And there's a lot of sort of very good theories. I think most people who play it over a long time develop their own theories and beliefs. I mean, there's some things that people say that are true that I just completely don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a very interesting game. It was made by one dude, pretty much. Sam Barlow was I think he was a developer and a designer at a studio whose name I have written down here, Climax Studios, who worked on the Silent Hill series. And he came up with the idea on his own, and he left Climax. So it was his first independent game. He got it approved through Steam Greenlight. And he won a lot of awards for it. And fair play to him. Because it's a game like that.
It's a great idea for a game. And it has been well written, so that I think there's not really a moment where I feel that the bits I don't understand are necessarily because something's wrong with it. I think it's because it does make sense, but I've just not fully understood it yet.
There's the thing as a kid, it's like whenever you play any game, it's never the game's fault, it's your fault. It's like, I just suck at this. But no, with Her Story, it's more that the mechanics are there for you to play around with and come up with your own interpretation.
You type in a word, you watch some videos.
I think the only problem with it is, I think Tony might have suffered with this a bit. I don't want to just throw Tony under the bus.
No,
but
that's fine. That's what I'm here for.
I think the narrative technique of unreliable narrator and not trusting everything that you're hearing and taking it as fact has to be taken into account with Her Story, because I don't believe a lot of what she says.
Mm-hmm.
And if you type in yes or no, you get clips of just lie detector tests, which are quite useful if you place them in order of time. So yeah, anyway, Johnny?
Lie detectors don't work. Sorry, I just thought I'd put it out there.
She got one wrong and it was her name.
But you see,
your name.
The way that lie detectors work is that they look at a whole different sets of things, sort of the amount that you're sweating, your heart rate, and it sort of looks how you are when you're saying the truth and telling a lie. And if certain theories are to be believed, then she's very good at telling a lie and telling the truth, to the point where I believe that she could force her, not quite force her body, but by cleverly sort of saying one name at that bit, she can make the lie detector think that she's telling the truth when actually she's lying and sort of mix up her signals.
But why would she be lying about her name? Should we get into the spoiler section? Because there's no point talking around the main crux of the game's narrative.
Spoiler mode initiating.
In 3, 2, 1.
The butler did it.
It was Colonel Mustard in the library.
The detective was the killer all along, trying to wrap up loose ends.
Of course, the killer was the girl you're interviewing. But who is the girl you're interviewing? What's her name? Even deciding that is quite hard.
She says 2 different things. Yeah, and that confuses me.
Okay, Tony. I think me and Jono have got our own theories, and we'll talk you through it. Okay. So there are 2 girls, twins, Hannah and Eve. Mm-hmm. Okay, both of them were born. I believe that Hannah is the sort of the one that Eve believes is like put on a pedestal, and Eve was the twin that was strangled by the umbilical cord.
Yeah,
the
midwife says that baby has died, and then sort of takes it and abducts Eve. So the 2 are raised on opposite sides of the street. And Eve gets to sort of look over and see Hannah from the other side, and there's sort of a lot of sort of fairy tale imagery that's used here.
Princesses as well.
Yeah, and she's looking at this other life. Anyway,
she thinks she's like a reflection, doesn't she? That's used, and then you get into formulaic twin plots. Of I think Florence dies. It's ambiguous whether Eve kills Florence. Eve is like devil child, like the episode of The Simpsons, or
evil twin.
Yeah, but basically, I think she gets raised in secret. The theory is believing that the parents know about her, or that they don't know about her.
My personal feeling is that the parents don't know.
Yeah, that's what I always thought.
Same.
Hence with the attic, so there's the attic, which one of them always is, but the other one is out.
Yeah, and then you get loads of really, really disturbing clips about the fact that they had to do everything together.
Yeah, so at one point, one of them gets a black eye, the other one does as well, and that could be relevant for things later.
Yanking the tooth out, which is horrible, and then there's the weird sex stuff. Which the game likes. The game likes it in a way which I'll forgive, because there is a revelation that the police realise on day 2 of interviewing her
Mm-hmm.
that you can unsettle her by talking about sex.
Okay.
And that's why they focus on that quite a lot. And that's how they tell the difference, because one is developed to be like better with like boys and stuff, and one is completely opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that's completely the opposite is the one that can actually conceive a child, which is quite interesting. I'm going to get my Hannah and Eve's confused here, so I'm going to try to avoid names.
Yeah. So I haven't identified in which videos we're seeing which one.
I believe it's Eve in most of them.
Yeah, I think it's Eve in most of them.
They
Especially the one with the
pretend to be
tattoo.
Hannah throughout, apart from the
Yeah.
last one in which they admit she's Eve.
Mhm.
Hannah has the black eye
Yeah.
because Simon hit her.
Yes.
I think.
There are other interesting clues, like she moves up to the sort of wrong eye to point where she had that black eye.
That's the next day. She
Yeah.
uses the excuse I have a fast metabolism and touches the wrong eye.
Mhm.
And then at one point she spills coffee on herself,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can see she has a tattoo. But you could see Hannah's bare arm in an earlier clip, so that's like a clue.
There is one sort of set of interviews where she's just wearing a short sleeve shirt, and she mentions that actually the tattoo represents individuality, which is quite interesting in the sense of what it implies.
But yes, there are two main theories I have seen. One is that they are twins, and that's the one that I buy.
That's the revelation I came to, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this is the best game I've
And then there's the other one, which is it's sort of split personalities, or Eve is just working this whole lie that there are two of them to blame the other one because you can't arrest a ghost that isn't there.
Oh yeah, there's quite an interesting thing about like the mental state of Eve going through the interviews, because you don't see Hannah after like I think it's not the penultimate, but it's the one before that. You have 2 interviews of just Eve, and you wonder what's happened to her. There's theories that she's killed Hannah, that Hannah's run off, and like I think generally the story that Eve tells at the end is not completely true. You cannot completely trust because she's completely mental, and she killed her parents as well, which is never really admitted, but it's heavily implied, I think, with the whole mushrooms.
Yeah, or at least there's something more with the mushrooms, because they wouldn't have made that mistake, which then sort of makes you think, why would she be saying this sort of so obviously?
It's a video game. That's the only answer.
But yes, I don't think that Eve killed Hannah, because I don't feel like there's enough evidence pointing towards that as a thing to make. Theories that I've read about it sort of suggest there's no murder weapon bit when she says that is that's actually referring to Hannah's death. But then, by that point in the interview, she doesn't realise that there was still a fragment of mirror in Simon's neck. So, as far as she was concerned, they didn't know the murder weapon. So I don't think there's any evidence that you can use to sort of point towards that.
If we're going away from theories and back to our synopsis, I'm just going to do this off the top of my head without notes, and just you correct me if I'm wrong here. Okay, so they both share boys. That's important. And then they meet Simon, and Hannah doesn't want to share Simon because Simon's special.
Yeah.
And they go off and live in a house together. I don't think Simon ever knows about Eve. And then Eve kills her parents.
So that they can
they
go back
go
to
into the house.
Yeah.
And then Eve leaves the house, and then I think there's a few years, or maybe a year, that you don't know about. She takes up a career singing with a blonde wig.
Oh, there's another thing, because when Hannah gets... So, they've been sharing Simon until the first night which Hannah has... The first night going to bed with Simon, where she gets pregnant. And then Eve goes and sort of goes, well, our whole sort of, you get a black eye, I get a black eye thing, you get pregnant, I get pregnant.
But she can't get pregnant.
Yeah, so she goes around, tries to sleep with as many people as possible, gets an STI, which is then sort of never referenced later. That's why I'm slightly confused, because I sort of thought that the STI then meant that she couldn't ever again, or that she realised that she couldn't. Which is why I have another theory, which is Simon has super sperm. Just because one night with Hannah, she gets pregnant. I was about to say spoilers, but
no, we are into spoilers right
another
now.
night with Eve a bit later, and Eve also gets pregnant. So it's just
Also, interesting thing is she plays Eve's child, which is really cool. It's really cool. that revelation is just because there's a lot of discussion like when does the game end, but it does make it very clear that that is the sort of the ending, because you unlock stuff. You unlock the ability to look at 15 clips instead of 5, which makes the game a lot easier to get all the clips if you're really going to try and do that. I don't know why you would. But I just think the revelation that you're playing as her daughter, that's why the clips are dated when they are. That's why it's designed the way it is. And the fake chat app is quite cool as well. I really like that revelation.
Right, should we go back to the synopsis? Because
Right.
I've been jumping around here,
Really
following
quick.
my thoughts.
Really quick. So she takes up a career singing. Simon finds her. They have sex. She gets pregnant. And then I think
It's on like their anniversary with Hannah. Simon goes and gives her this mirror because he's a craftsman. It's like
before that though,
oh yeah,
Simon knows that they're twins.
yes.
Simon finds out that they're twins, and
Yeah.
all three of them are like aware of that. And then Simon gives Hannah a mirror.
Yeah, and then later goes and
Wait, does he give? No, he gives Hannah the mirror.
gives Hannah.
And then Hannah dresses up as Eve. Hannah puts on the wig,
Yes.
and pretends to be Eve, and Simon gives her the same mirror.
Yeah, sort of goes to the bar, meets Hannah dressed as Eve, and then sort of goes and gives her this mirror, at which point, according to Eve, Hannah sort of snaps a bit later, not in the bar, but elsewhere, sort of uses the mirror to sort of slash his neck.
Oh, what I heard is they have a fight, that's why she has the black eye. Then Eve comes in, and Eve basically has to decide on which one who she's gonna help in this fight, and she kills Simon. But she says that Hannah killed Simon, because obviously she's not going to admit to the murder. But I think, I don't know, does Eve get arrested, or does Eve get away with it? What do you think? Because you play as her daughter.
Yeah.
And she's not clearly pregnant in the... she's got morning sickness, but you don't know. Did she get away with it? What do you think happened afterwards?
So, what I'd like to think is that this whole thing has been Eve trying to stop the police from being able to catch Hannah for as long as possible. This is all sort of false front whilst Hannah kind of gets away. They start off a bit doing it 2 by 2, because if she's going to pick Hannah over Simon, it only makes sense to me that she'd do that so that Hannah can go free. And possibly as part of her plan is to say, oh, it's Hannah, you need to arrest Hannah. Oh, look, where has she gone? She has disappeared whilst you've been trying to arrest me.
Yeah.
That's definitely what she's trying to do, I think, is trying to not get arrested for it. Which is another reason why I don't believe the Eve kills Hannah, because that doesn't... Why would you choose Hannah over Simon to then go and kill Hannah anyway?
True.
I don't care how psychopathic she's meant to be, I don't buy that, so...
There's a lot of sort of fairy tale style, and that's quite a fairy tale plot, I guess. Sort of the twin sisters, and there's a song that she sings at one point.
There are 2 songs.
And
there's one about a fiddle and making it out of hair, and the other one about the sailor and...
The same song. It's just the interview part is split into 2.
Okay then.
But that song's very good in terms of like summing up a lot of the themes of the game and the subtle nuances.
2 people who love the same person.
Yeah. And Tony, I think it's now time we discuss your note taking and your experience with the game.
Well, first of all, I want to put this out there that I have been a bit quiet in this whole sort of theory discussion.
Last 20 minutes.
In the sense that I don't think I have much to add, in the sense that I don't feel that I was the most... I don't think I'd make a good detective, is what I'm trying to say. Now, before I make it sound like...
I think you would if you were the one asking the questions. I think you could... You certainly had the questions to ask, but...
The problem is that one of my key arguments that I came on here to make was that the feeling of the game gives you, like, oh wow, I could be a detective. You've completely ruined my argument.
Yeah, I mean, I don't... Before I go into how I feel, I want to point out that the game, as it is, it explores a novel concept. It does it very well. I feel like, especially the acting, which is essentially, other than the sort of mechanic of finding words and putting that in. The acting and understanding that, it rewards the effort you put into that, into learning what they're wearing, even like learning the tells of like when someone's lying or not. It rewards that effort, and that shows sort of depth in gameplay.
Sorry, I was just thinking about it later on.
Depth in gameplay.
Because Sam Barlow hated LA Noire, which is why he made this game. He was like, I want a detective game which is not as blatantly obvious as LA Noire was. And the actress is Viva Seifert, I think, and she's a musician who worked on a game that Sam Barlow worked on, and that's how they met. Back to you, sorry.
Okay, so yeah, I want to say that it's a very good game in how it sort of accomplishes what it sets out to do. That being said, when it comes to my individual experience with the game, in conclusion, I think I didn't come to the sort of end result of having a theory for what happened, because I'm an idiot. So I think that would sort of come down to the fact that I sort of ran out of words to search through. I felt like I was hitting dead ends, and also in the fact that due to the unreliable narrator sort of thing, that just added confusion in the sense that I didn't really know what to believe, and from that I couldn't really put any basis of a thing together in my head, because I had no reason to believe one thing over another thing, if that makes sense.
It also has a spooky game.
It also is a very spooky game. I got spooked in the sense that when I got to the revelation of the twin thing, which I wouldn't necessarily call it a revelation because of the way I found out, it just said it. So I wouldn't call it like a sort of mind-blowing like plot twist moment that I came to it through my own sort of analysis of what was going on. It just reached a point where it's like, yeah, we're twins. But I still was scared by that idea. I feel like not many people got a sort of horror aspect from this, and it's not terrifying.
I thought you were scared by the face that
I was scared by that.
I was scared by that.
That was something that I did turn off screen clear. I'm very glad that it has that feature, because when a face appeared out of nowhere, I was terrified.
You know that maybe one year, I don't know, if we ever do like 2017 or something, like Outlaws 2 is definitely going to be my pick.
No.
We've got to do a horror game, like a pure horror game.
No.
We should do the first Bioshock when we're going back in time.
First Bioshock is not scary if you play it on easy, which is what I'm still playing through First Bioshock, but I'm playing it on easy, because then when you see a Big Daddy, it's just like, just empty a mag into his head, he's gone.
I got fucked over.
Because I saw
the same Big Daddy 3 times.
There was a moment I was
familiar.
I was playing on hard, and then Atlas is like, "That's a Big Daddy. You're gonna have to kill her." I just paused, options, easy. God. Anyway, enough about me being bad at games and being a coward. I think it's time we wrapped up by reviewing her story, giving it a score. I mean, it's hard to do. It's very hard to do. A game that is like no other.
Yeah, pointing out the fact that it does sell itself on the, as Harry mentioned, singular moment of revelation, that it's not very common that a game can sort of have its defining feature be something you can just not get. It's not like you can play Battlefront, the newest Battlefront, and buy it because it's a really pretty looking game, and then you open the game and it's just a black screen, and like, I'm not getting this. So yeah, I feel
it's like
I'll take this account.
The old LucasArts adventure games. If you just had never played one before, and you just hit a wall, and you're like, what do I do? I mean, there's a story about like a 4 or 5 year old who loves one of like the LucasArts games, like Day of the Tentacle and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like, what's the best game of all time? You just go into different rooms. Like, you're supposed to solve puzzles and stuff. He just didn't know that. I was like, there was more to the game than just. Like, they're the only sort of games I can imagine. Just, I think this would have been really good if it was like came out in the 90s, like pre-internet.
It definitely could have. It doesn't rely on any sort of newfangled technology other than the Unity engine.
Fantastic game engine. Alright, we're approaching the hour mark. Scores quickly. Johnny.
I'd go for I think a 7 out of 10.
Johnny's the harsh critic of this.
Well, his violence. I'm going to be brief with this. I'm never going to play this again. I thought to go and sort of refresh myself up before going through this. You can find videos online of all the things next to each other. I started watching that and I got to 7 minutes. I've seen most of these. I can't be bothered to sit here for another hour and a half.
Yeah, you can't. That's the problem with it. It's a game that cannot be replayed. But I guess for me anyway, the first time I played through it was one of the best. It was probably my favourite 3 hours of playing any game that year. For that reason, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. But I guess I don't know if I would give it a 9 or an 8, because upon reflection, it's definitely not as good as I sort of that initial rush. It's a 4-star game, so by definition, I'd say 8 out of 10. But I've given 3 things in a row 8 out of 10 now. It's not consistent. It's too consistent.
Yeah.
Tony.
I think that although the things I mentioned, I really want to emphasise that this is an incredibly well-crafted, well-written, well-acted game. It rewards the effort you put into it. It's original, it's novel. There are, even in the fact that I didn't come out the game with a sort of solid, cohesive theory, there were definitely moments of small revelation, and the fact that just piecing together tiny bits of evidence that sort of changed the way you looked at one other smaller thing. It was just small moments like that really sold the experience to me. Even though I couldn't put them together into an overall picture, for those small moments, I think it's worth a 10 out of 10.
I've just got the running joke. Okay, someone needs to pick something just bad. There's not even any There's no debate. It's just something terrible.
Wait till 2006.
Okay, so wait till someone picks Sonic 06 just to see when Tony stops giving things 10 out of 10.
Well, I think.
Oh, just quickly, just a spin-off comment. What would you give Terminator Genesis?
I mean, well.
In all seriousness,
I don't.
It's not perfect, so it's not a 10 out of 10.
Well, I think things don't need to be perfect to be awarded a 10 out of 10, Harry.
10 out of 10 is perfection.
Not the way I do.
Very few games get 10 out of
10. Well, I actually put that there. I don't think I've seen all of it, so I don't think I would fairly be able to review it. So I can put to be reviewed. Reviewed on a later date once more patches come out.
It does need reviewing though. We do need to review a game and film from 2014. The question is, who?
Ooh, it's me. The one who's not done it before. I thank the wheel.
It's almost like a mathematical formula.
Thank the wheel for letting me step in now. Right, so
2014. It's not a good year. It's not a good year at all.
It was the year when I was 14, and I think that was a good time.
I played one game in 2014. FIFA 14 it was one of those years where the Xbox One had released and nothing was out. So unless you're going to pick Rise, Son of Rome, I can't say I've played any of your games.
Well, one of the ones that I've played that I'm not going to pick, but is Shadow of Mordor. I thought was quite good.
Yeah, that's the game.
That's the only other game I can think of, other than of course Tales from the Borderlands, which I shall pick because I love the Borderlands world.
Telltales from the Borderlands.
Is that what I said?
No, I just.
Okay, good. Don't embarrass me, Harry.
Tales from the Borderlands. I'll have you know.
Because I love the Borderlands world, the humour that it has, and the other games which doesn't seem to interest Harry as much.
Let me just say, I love the sense of humour of Borderlands, but I hate the gameplay. So this is perfect because I love Telltale's system. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm hoping I can convert you.
Convert me to the Church of Handsome Jack.
Yes.
Neither played a Telltale or a Borderlands game, so this will be a new experience, but I'm sure I'll find something.
I'm sure the 2014 episode will just be me talking about how good The Walking Dead was. Because, oh my god, that game. And your film?
And my film. This was a good year for films, I'd say.
Have you got any examples to prove this?
So
Back it up.
I mean, the Lego Movie.
All right, that's a good year.
I mean, I could just stop there. Really.
I hope that's your film.
It's not the one I've picked, and that's how you know this was a good year. Also, Boyhood. A lot of people didn't get that. I was one of the people who did.
It did take a long time to make. And
Yeah,
I respect.
12 years.
I respect.
12 years.
I respect them not just casting an actor that looks similar.
Yeah, one of the characters who
Jake
was
Lloyd.
in it for the long run, they wanted their character to be killed off, but the director, who was also the person's father, sort of said, "No, I'm not doing this. Okay, it would not fit the tone."
It's a 12-year argument, though.
Yeah. Anyway, and also Birdman, which I've only seen like the first half hour of, and I don't know how I've managed to stop there.
The end of Birdman's the best bit. All right.
Anyway, none of those are the ones I've picked, because I've gone for the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Have you seen the Grand Budapest Hotel? I can't even say it. Tony.
I have not. No, for a while, as you were talking about it, I confused it with the Exotic Marigold Hotel, which
Too
I
many
have
hotels
seen.
in cinema. I have not seen
No,
it.
I haven't seen.
Is it the Ralph Fiennes one where he wears that purple
Yes.
thing? Yeah, I've seen
Yes.
I've seen
Ralph
pictures.
Fiennes being awesome. It's just a beautiful film. I mean, we'll talk about it more in the actual.
It does look
actual
lovely,
episode.
and I think
Yeah.
it came out in the same year as the song Budapest.
Ah.
So it's just it was a good time for Budapest in those days.
Yeah, it's just. I think it's a film that not many people have seen either, because I don't think it had quite as large a introduction as like the Lego Movie and Boyhood and Birdman.
Do you know?
Perhaps-
Oh yeah, Birdman won. I was going to ask what won Best Picture, but that was Birdman.
Right, well, is it time to say goodbye to the listeners at home?
I think it is. It probably is. I mean, I know they'd like to stay with us
I'd like to stay with us.
for as long as they possibly can. I had to do a burp in between that. But I think we should say goodbye and just let them know that we are Mediate Podcast literally everywhere. Like literally, like try us anywhere. If we don't have it, we'll be on it one day.
It's a very uniquely searchable name.
I mean, SoundCloud, we're on that. We're on YouTube if you listen to podcasts in the wrong way. Hopefully we'll be on iTunes one day. Or follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, subscribe, do all that good stuff, yeah?
You can email us at Mediate Podcast at Google, or also at Podcast Mediate at Google, because
Or just mediatepodcast at gmail.com.
Just mangle the two words together. Hopefully we'll come up.
And we have a website if you just want to see us literally post links to the podcast and write nothing else, which is mediatepodcast.wordpress.com, because we're not powerful enough to just be called .com. We have got WordPress in there as well. Alright, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in a year. 2014, to be specific. Ooh.